Hello everyone and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast as part of a Catharsis Scrutiny. This audio podcast as part of a Lobostics Interpol. And this audio podcast as part of a Storm Lobostics production. This audio podcast as part of a as part of a as part of this series in the Proxi beat. This audio podcast will look at a review of pathology and analysis of approaches of easing kidney renal disease impact on and sort of disease burden, and looking at host pathogen communication and biomedical, looking at host pathogen communication and biomedical visualization perspective. This work was sort of a peer reviewed and published works, in a as part of a book in a Springer publication, a Springer book, publication in the series as biomedical visualization. And here, as part of this audio podcast, there will be a sort of an excerpt from the book chapter. There is as part of there is an audio podcast, a series that goes through the whole peer-reviewed works, However, in this audio podcast, a sort of an overview as part of an excerpt in from this works. So, as part of the introduction, in addition to affecting the upper respiratory tract, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, or SARS-CoV, and SARS-CoV-2 can target kidneys, resulting in disease impact. There is a lack of effective treatment for SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2, and so one approach could be to consider lower. One approach could be to consider to lower the probable risk and onset of disease amongst immunocompromised and immunosuppressed individuals and patients or recipients. So angiotensin converting enzyme 2 or ACE2 has a promising impact, including acting against SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2 symptoms. Current literature states that ACE2 is expressed across several physiological systems, including the lungs, cardiovascular gut, kidneys, and central nervous and across endothelia. So the aims around this works was where this chapter seeks to investigate causes and potential mechanisms during SARS infection or CoV-2, renal interaction, and effects of acute kidney injury or AKI. The the objectives are this chapter seeks to provide an overview of microscopy and visualization of host pathogen communication and the principles of ACE2 in the context of immunology and impact on renal pathophysiology. In around the design of this works, or part of the design was where this chapter focuses to provide basic principles of ACE2 and the analysis and effect of immunology and pathophysiological pathological effects of immunology and pathophysiological components important in relation to SARS infection. In around the discussion, there have been a surge in literature or evidence surrounding mechanisms attributing to SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV ACE2 action on immune response to pathogens. There is an advantage to implementing ACE2 treatment to improve immune response against infection. In around the conclusions, so ACE2 may provide approach strategies for management of symptoms that relate to SARS-CoV and SARS-CoV-2 in most immunocompromised or immunosuppressed recipients or patients. The visualization of ACE2 action can be achieved through microscopy to understand host pathogen communication. Some of the main sort of terminologies in this works include nephrology, immunology, virology, visualization, host pathogen, and biomedical sciences. So thank you for tuning in. This has been an audio podcast as part of the Proxi beat, as part of an audio podcast as part of the Catharsis Scrutiny, an audio podcast as part of the Robotics Interpol, and an audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. Thank you.